Hey everyone, what is going on? So we are doing more Sinister Cup battles going up against the one and only Call Me Jake. So I will leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description down below if you don't know who he is, which you probably do. But if you don't, you definitely want to go ahead and watch his videos. I don't know if he'll have a video on these battles or not. He didn't really specify if he was recording, but you definitely want to check out his channel regardless because he makes awesome content. So let's see what team he's going with. He has Gallade, Gardevoir, Poliwrath, Dusclops, Alolan Marowak, and Steelix, and my team will be Poliwrath, Empoleon, Drifblim, Steelix, Alolan Marowak, and Bronzong, and we definitely are using Bronzong in this video. Notice how I got the buff, by the way, with that Drifblim, so I knew I had to protect it. So now Drifblim really powerful just because of that buff. So if you get a buff early on, you need to protect it with the shields because it's going to be doing a lot of damage. We actually get back-to-back ominous winds off, so we're going to get off, as you can see, another one, getting a second buff. So because I got that other buff, I knew I would survive the shadow punch. I don't think I would have survived it had I not gotten that second buff, so a little bit unfair. The buffs definitely mattered. Not sure if I would have won without them. Maybe I would have. I still might have. But the buffs definitely allowed me to win this game. So we do go ahead and knock him out with Bronzong. And Bronzong is a really good confusion user if you're thinking about which one to go with. Bronzong is not bad. I think my favorite is probably Cresselia, although I haven't used it yet because I don't have one. And it's difficult to get, but yeah, Bronzong is definitely a solid Pokemon. It is weak to Ghost, so you do have to watch out for that. But it takes neutral damage from Poliwrath's Bubble move. It is tanky, not Bubble, Power Punch. It is tanky, and you know, it does resist other Pokemon in the format, like the Charm uses. Whether or not you have Gallade or Gardevoir. His Gallade actually had Confusion, but it can learn Charm as well. It also resists Confusion as well. So definitely a solid pick. So right now we do have the Steelix versus his Dusclops. I am going to go ahead and shield this Fire Punch because I don't want to be knocked out because I knew I had a Crunch ready to go. So I do go ahead and click on the Crunch, and that will knock out Dusclops. So now we do have the switch advantage as well as the same number of shields, so I'm feeling pretty good. He does bring in his Steelix. I was going for the Crunch, but I just wasn't able to get it off, unfortunately. I do bring in my Bronzong, so I was feeling pretty good, but not so much anymore because we didn't really bring Poliwrath against his team for this battle, so we'll see what happens. We're going to go ahead and go for the Bulldoze. He does let it go through, so that's going to do a lot of damage. Definitely good for us. I will block this Crunch. I blocked it because I thought I'd be able to get to his Psyshock before he got to another Crunch, but that was not the case, so he does get to another Crunch and knocks me out anyway. And now we do go ahead and bring in Drifblim. He does switch out into his Gardevoir, so I'm going to go ahead and go for the Ominous Wind. And this is where I make a huge mistake. I was going for the Shadow Ball. That Ominous Wind would have knocked out that Gardevoir. I'm more than confident that it would have. So I should have clicked on the Ominous Wind, but I was just going straight for the Shadow Ball. And the reason for that was just because I wasn't really thinking, well, he's going to knock me out with fast moves. I knew I would be able to get to Shadow Ball before he got to his charge move because Charm is relatively slow to get to a charge move. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely get to Shadow Ball and win. Ominous Wind would have gotten the job done, would have taken care of it. So that was a huge mistake and cost me the game, but that is okay. So it's 1-1 right now. And yeah, by the way, Jake is an ace trainer, so I'm not a challenger. So really powerful trainer. Really honored to be battling him right now. So he does knock out my Drifblim, and I'm going to bring in Poliwrath. I don't really have much to handle this. He does go for the Shadow Punch, and I do go ahead and go for the Ice Punch. I didn't expect a shield at this point, and he does not shield, so I'm trying to finish him off with Bubbles. Unfortunately, not able to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and block this just so I can finish it off. Now, he is up a shield, and you know, I do have a Poliwrath with energy, so we'll see how things go. I'm going to go ahead and go for that Power Up Punch against his Poliwrath, and then I will pull the switch, and you saw me, I clicked on Psyshock, but for some reason it wasn't able to go through while his Poliwrath was in there. I'm sure he would have blocked that. but at least we would have taken his last shield. I don't know, you know, maybe I just wasn't able to click on it. He just switched out faster than me, but he does knock me out, and now it's my Poliwrath against his Alolan Marowak. So if this is a Shadow Ball, you know, I knew it would knock me out. It was not a Shadow Ball, so we knock him out, and now I go for the Power Up Punch, but I knew it was too late because his Poliwrath had way too much energy. I was not able to do it. I mean, if I got to another Power Punch and we got an excellent, we probably would have knocked him out, but he does knock us out. So at this point, I'm like, oh no, please don't let me lose like all 7 games. You know, we won 1 for luck because of the Drift Blim, the double buff, but let's see if we can win more. So we're going to jump into another one. He leads with Poliwrath. I lead with my Alolan Marowak. Terrible match for me, so I'm going to pull the switch into my Poliwrath. He switches into his Gallade, which does have Confusion. It's not a Charm variant, but whether or not it had Confusion or Charm, it would still be doing a lot to Poliwrath, right? I've been having a request to try out God of War as well as Gallade. I use Gallade a little bit, so I will be trying those out as well, so we will have a video with them. But for right now, I bring in my Alolan Marowak, and he's going to go ahead and hit me with a Leaf Blade. I knew I could take it, but he actually has another Leaf Blade. I knew I could take it again as well. So, but you know, so it still adds up in damage, right? I mean, almost down to half already. So, the good news is we do have 2 shields. He does bring in his Poliwrath, so whatever this is, I could take a Power Up Punch as well as an Ice Punch, but I knew he was in a better position than I am. I do go for the Shadow Ball, hoping that he doesn't shield, and he does not, so at least we get a lot of damage onto him. So my final Pokemon will be that Steelix, so I'm going to have to shield these Power-Up Punches coming my way. I guess I could have taken one. I didn't want to take the damage. I just didn't want to take the damage, so I do go ahead and shield both, and then I try to feint him down with fast moves. He actually pulls the switch into his Steelix, and I do go for the Earthquake. I was expecting the shield. He decides not to shield. But it still doesn't knock me out, and then he's able to get off what I believe is an Earthquake. He does go for that Earthquake, I believe, yes he does, and he does knock me out. So he does go ahead and win that, so 3 games in a row. Jake absolutely crushes us. Can we redeem it? We agreed to 8 games, so we'll see how things go. So we're going to jump into another one. He leads with Dusclops. I lead with my Steelix. I like this matchup. I mean, he does have Fire Punch, and that does a pretty good amount to Steelix considering how fast it charges, but we also have Crunch, which does a good amount to Dusclops as well. So depending on shields, we definitely win this matchup. Now, we'll see what happens. He does go for that Fire Punch, so we're going to take it, and we actually get off another Crunch. And I was expecting him to shield at this point. He does not shield, so he does let Dusclops go down. So we do go ahead and win that one. Not by much, but we still win it. He brings out his Gallade. I decided not to switch. I was going to try and get to that Earthquake, but I didn't think I could do it, so I go for the Crunch, and he's going to go ahead and shield and knock out my Steelix. So I bring in Bronzong, and you can see how much that's doing to Gallade just because Gallade is frail. He switches to Alolan Marowak, and I will pull the switch into my Poliwrath. Poliwrath is definitely a good matchup for this Alolan Marowak because Power Punch as well as Ice Punch won't be doing much, but the Power Punches do add up, and the bubbles are doing a lot. Now, if you want to go high-tech and go for Hydro Pump on the Poliwrath, that will obviously knock out the Alolan Marowak and do a lot of damage. But if you're going Hydro Pump, if you're trying it out, definitely let me know how it works. I know Jokes was trying it out, and he did beat me a couple games with it. We only played a couple games so far. But you know, it could work. It could work if you want to take out the Ice Punch for Hydro Pump. Not too sure. But for right now, we are going in with Size Shock to knock out his Gallade, and we are going to go ahead and take this one. So at least we get another win in, you know. But yeah, so we do win that, so that was a fun game. So we're going to go ahead and jump into another one. What game is this? I think it's, I want to say 5, maybe 6, I don't know. But either way, we lead with Poliwrath. He leads with the Alolan Marowak. So definitely favorable for us. Obviously, we'll be taking damage from the Shadow Ball. But we get off a Power Punch against his Dusclops, and we bring in the Alolan Marowak to try and do some damage to him. I am going to let the Shadow Punch go through because it does charge up fast, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. I go for the Shadow Ball hoping he would think it was a bluff, but he does shield, so that was a nice shield on his end. If we went for the Bone Club, we'd be in a better position, but that's okay. I am going to block the Shadow Punch because I believed that I could get to another Shadow Ball as we do. So we do go ahead and get to that Shadow Ball and knock him out. So he does allow his Dusclops to fall instead of investing both shields. So I'll take that. At least we have the switch advantage. He brings in his Poliwrath. So we look and see what we have in the back, and it's going to be that Bronzong doing a lot of damage with Confusion. So really solid Confusion user if you're thinking about what Confusion Pokemon you want to go with. I think Bronzong is really good. I do want to try out Claydol as well. I do have a Claydol. I just don't have the second move on it. But if you guys have tried out Claydol, definitely let me know how it worked. But we do catch his last shield and then switch into Poliwrath. I actually go for the power-up punch. I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have just fainted him with bubbles. I think I just wanted to boost up my attack. That's why I did it. But either way, he does go ahead and hit us with a Shadow Ball, and as you can see, it did a lot of damage. So we have a nice punch as well as a power-up punch ready to go. So we click on the power-up punch, and we're just going to do as much damage as possible, hitting an excellent to boot. He will knock us out, but we have the Bronzong, and I knew I could survive a power punch. I believe I could survive two. Maybe, actually no, probably not, because the bubbles added up. So no, we wouldn't have been able to take another power up punch. So we do win that one as well, but that was another really close game. So let's see, we're going to jump into another one. So I do lead with my Bronzong, and he leads with Poliwrath, so we definitely do catch him in the lead. However, Poliwrath still does a lot to Bronzong. It's closer than you would think, because Power Up Punch does add up over time. So as you can see, it's doing good damage, but we're still able to feint the Poliwrath. Obviously, we could shield, but I decided not to shield, and you can see how close that matchup is. Despite being a Psychic type, and that's because we are part Steel, and Poliwrath does charge up fast, so it is very close. I do go ahead and click on the Bulldoze because I wanted him to think that I would go for the Psy Shock without seeing what comes in, and I was hoping a Steel type like this Pokemon, Steelix, or even like a Gallade or Gardevoir came in, and then we just hit him with a lot of damage. He does switch into his Gallade. I'm going to pull the switch into my Drifblim. Gallade is still doing a lot of damage to Drifblim. We could take these Leaf Blades quite nicely, and we're going to go ahead and go for the Ominous Wind. He will block that. Hoping for a buff, not able to get it. I was trying to get to another Ominous Wind, but it wasn't going to happen. I do have 2 shields left, so I am definitely going to block this Leaf Blade. And he actually, I believe, has another one ready to go. But let's see. I do go for the Power Punch. He shields that. He does get off another one. I was correct. He does get off another one. So I am going to shield this Leaf Blade. And he will pull the switch into Steelix. You know, I was actually almost about to click on my charge move. And I guess he wanted to catch my Ice Beam with Steelix. And then maybe pull something out with Gallade. But we pull it back as we see the switch and knock out Steelix, and then we knock out his Gallade with Ice Punch. So for this game, I lead with my Drifblim, and he leads with his Dusclops. I do believe this is the last game, and I do make a big mistake in this game as well. No excuses. I mean, it was a mistake, you know. But we're going to go ahead and go for the Ominous Wind right now. And he will block that, and I try to get to another one. We don't get there quite yet, so I am going to go ahead and throw up the shield to survive, so I could get to another one. I actually go for the Shadow Ball because I wanted to secure the knockout. I mean, he could have shielded it, but he decided not to shield it, and we are able to take out the first knockout. And he brings in his Steelix, not able to get to another move. So I will bring in the Poliwrath. He switches to Gallade. I will switch to that Bronzong. And we're just doing a lot of damage because it's neutral, right? Just trying to knock it out. I do go ahead and block this because I knew he had enough for a close combat. He does bluff me with the Leaf Blade, but it was still worth the shield. I do get off the Psy Strike, and probably should have just fainted it down without going for Psy Strike, but that's okay. I do go for the Bulldoze, trying to do a lot of damage to that Steelix, as it does. He does allow it to go through. He does get off a Crunch. I knew I would be able to take this one. Actually, he gets off an Earthquake. I'm sorry, that's my bad. I thought he went for the Crunch, so that was actually a good play. I remember thinking he would go for the Crunch. Now, here's my mistake. I should have went for Power Up Punch. I didn't because he had a shield, and he almost knocked me out with Earthquake. But we win anyway, and that will be it for this video, guys. See you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.